Welcome to episode 8 of season 2 of Our Darling Town, the podcast where we explore the heart and soul of Darlington through its local independent businesses and the people that make it special. I'm Henry Carver alongside my brother James, and we're here to shine a spotlight on our beloved town. Join us as we sit down with passionate local people to delve into their stories and uncover the unique contributions they make to our community and to find out more about the town where we live. Get ready to be inspired by the people and stories that make Darlington truly special. Welcome to episode 8 of season 2 of Our Darling Town, James.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank
Good.
you. You had a busy night last night?
Yes, certainly did. And a little bit more of a boozy night than I expected as well.
I thought your eyes were a little bit red this morning.
I had to go and sweat off a bit of whiskey. I had to leave my car basically in town. I wasn't expecting it to be as boozy, but...
So what were you doing?
Yeah, so long story short, we as Carver Residential sponsored the Santa's sleigh route that is run every single year around Darlington and surrounding villages, and it's to raise money for good causes over the year, and it's run by Darlington Round Table. We were invited to sponsor the route and absolutely jumped at the chance to go and meet Santa. Personal introduction, had a picture of myself and him on the sleigh.
And you got the high-vis jacket on? And,
Carver's own branded high-vis jacket, and it was good to walk the streets of Darlington. It was genuinely really, really nice to do. Great to be on the other side of it and see everyone's faces, and it was lovely.
A big turnout to see the big man.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was raining, so that dampened spirits a little bit, but it was definitely a good night.
Do you know what? I met him last week as well.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah. At my children's school, there was a Christmas fair.
Yeah.
I didn't just meet him. I was asked to be an elf.
Yeah.
I got asked on the day.
Yeah.
My wife had signed me up like 6 months before, but then presented me with an elf outfit. Mm-hmm. Rocked up to the school, and I was Santa's helper, ushering children through to sit on his knee and things like that.
So we could definitely get a picture of you as an elf on here now.
There is a picture of me with Santa actually sat on his knee.
Yeah.
It was.
You allowed to do that?
Actually, no, they weren't allowed to sit on his knee. I did. So
did?
But I'm 39, so I was okay with it. I'm not sure he was okay with it, but he was. It was my first time as being an elf, so I was chatting to Santa. I was a little bit nervous. These other elves were busy, so
right.
It was very good. Apart from my youngest Reuben, absolutely petrified.
Really,
he's 2, as you know.
You mean he's got a phobia of white beards like you do?
Yes.
Yeah. So for your stag do, we decided. Well, I was best man. Took you to Edinburgh, and everyone had to wear a white beard. Or have you removed that from your memory?
Slightly, and now people listening or watching might think that's a very, very strange phobia.
It really is a strange phobia.
And it actually is a strange phobia, but it's not a phobia. It's just feel like uncomfortable with big white beards. I think it was one day at university or in my teenage years I was hungover, and then I think I just saw like 5 or 6 people with white beards.
They're all coming for you.
There was the Archbishop of Canterbury. There was Harold Shipman, not in person, just on TV. I think I flicked over the channels, and every single person had a white beard. And I was like, they're coming for me.
Coming for you.
Yes, but that was funny. There was someone was dressed as Braveheart. My father-in-law Peter was he like one of the fishermen?
Yeah.
Captain Birdseye.
Marvelous stuff. Marvelous stuff.
Spielberg and all sorts.
So, preamble over. Let's get into the guest. Unfortunately, unable to attend.
Our guest is unable to attend this morning. So,
but don't be put off. Those people listening, we've got a great episode planned.
So, what do we do?
Wing it.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're just gonna chat to each other.
Yeah.
So that's everybody turning off right now.
No, absolutely not. I've got a new introduction for a new guest. I'm here with my co-host James, better known as Jim Carver. But today we're switching things up as James is stepping into the role of guest for the first time. James is an entrepreneur, family man, and someone who is always pushing the limits. He co-owns 3 successful businesses in County Durham and North Yorkshire, with me and our father, Gordon. He's a proud father of 3, a devoted husband to his wife, Helen, and has accomplished some truly remarkable feats. James has run a 100-mile ultra-marathon, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, captained a rugby team, and even led them out onto the pitch at Twickenham, which went really well, which we'll dive into in a minute. Right now, he's facing a different kind of challenge, recovering from neck surgery, which has been tough, especially for someone as active as he is, as per our meeting yesterday when you got really grumpy. And for anyone who grew up with us, you'll know that James almost killed me as a child. So perhaps get into that as well.
That's an exaggeration.
Perhaps on multiple occasions. James/Jim. I don't know who's James. You've been Jim since I was about 10 years old, so it's weird calling you James. That's your work name. I'm excited to have you as our guest today. Let's dive into your story. Stitch up, complete.
Excellent. So before we came on, we're like, so we don't have a guest, let's just have a chat. I didn't know I was actually going to be the guest.
Well, basically, we'll dive into a couple of things.
So can we fact check some of that to start with?
Go for it.
I've not nearly killed you.
Not on multiple occasions, but all right, we'll go into that. Quad bikes are very dangerous things, and you've got to be very responsible driving them, helmets, all the above. We were lucky enough we didn't have a quad bike as a child, but we had friends who did. We went in, we were playing hide and seek, or basically TIG. It was TIG.
Yeah.
TIG on a quad bike. It was my turn to run away from the people on the ground, but I was running away whilst on a quad bike.
So we had to take the quad bike.
Exactly, which really, sensible thing to do.
Where are our parents at this time?
I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I think they were just having a few bottles of wine in the house.
Yeah, they were just having Sunday lunch with some friends.
Basically, so the kids were outside. It was starting to get a little bit dark, sort of dusk time. It was definitely sort of more winter time than summertime, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. You're actually quite clever by doing this, but we were in a big field, so you decided to half the field. And the way of doing it, you got a massive bit of rope and basically, tied it across the field, limiting our options as the people on the quad bike.
The only issue was you didn't see the rope.
I didn't see said rope, and as I say, it was getting a bit dark, sort of dusk time. It was a dark blue rope, so completely oblivious to the fact that this rope was literally going to clothesline me, going at whatever speed the quad bike would do, with someone on the back. I think it was it Sophie?
Yeah.
So basically decided, I literally got clotheslined, rushed to see our grandfather who was a doctor, and he was just like, yes, this could have got a lot worse, but
you were fine.
I was absolutely fine.
Basically, he had a tiny little rope burn across his neck.
I was primary school age. It wasn't tiny, it was massive.
Were you primary school age? You should have been. Yeah.
I think so.
Anyway, so that was very exaggerated.
Yeah.
But in my defence, halving the field, genius idea.
Genius idea.
Yeah.
Just not sensible from my perspective.
Before you used contact lenses as well, so you should have got your eyes tested.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing my glasses. So. But quad bikes, dangerous things, so please be careful on them.
Absolutely.
From my perspective.
And playing TIG on a quad bike.
Probably not sensible.
Yeah, it was good fun until
it wasn't. What else do you want to fact check?
That's probably it, I can't remember.
Right, Kilimanjaro, what was that all about?
So that was in 2010. There was a group of friends from university and sort of wider circle just decided we wanted to challenge, so we headed over to Tanzania and climbed Kili.
Tanzania, oh my God, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, pretty much. So you can call it Kili when you've climbed it.
Is that right?
But it was, like the distance wasn't difficult. It wasn't like you weren't going like a long way.
Yeah.
The altitude, if anyone's done any mountaineering, like the altitude is pretty intense. You take these, I can't remember what they're called, dioxide something tablets, which help you with your breathing. Mm-hmm. But it was the last night that I'll never forget. And I remember, as we were sort of coming down, just never underplay how difficult it was, because your sort of memory like fades and you sort of think, oh, actually it was fine. It was just a walk up a hill. It was. We got up at, I think it was like 1:30 in the morning, climbing up sort of the final summit. It was -15 plus wind chill. All sort of our water had frozen. You were zigzagging up a ridiculously steep slope. One of the guys had to get rushed down because he started hallucinating and thought rats were trying to attack him and stuff like that. And then getting to the top, I was pretty lucky because I wasn't overly affected by the altitude. Yeah. But it was just the sort of the monotony of walking so slowly, but also the cold was just absolutely exhausting. So you get up to the top. There's me and a friend, Rory, who got to the top sort of first. We then had to wait for 5 minutes for the rest of the group to get to the top, and then it was literally like get down as quickly as you can to sort of get a bit more oxygen, and then you just you don't take your camp down. There's people who take your camp down and they just leg it down to the bottom.
Wow. So just literally get down as quickly as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was, absolutely amazing, and lucky to be a sort of a great group of people doing it. Yeah, so there's 13 of us, and one of the guys didn't quite make it to the top and came down absolutely fine when he got to a sort of a lower altitude. So just funny, you never know how these things are going to affect you. So, but yeah, it was really good.
Well done, and raise money for charity.
Yep.
And that's not the only charitable thing you've done in your years. You've done quite a few adventures.
Yeah, I like a
I
challenge.
remember as a child, you decided to one day set yourself a challenge of walking to the Lake District from our house.
Yes.
So you took your tent and you just set off from home and just cracked on.
Yeah.
So what, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, I think that was probably about 100 miles.
Yeah.
So from where we grew up to Scargill, to a friend's Tanya's house. She was having a party, which was brilliant. So stayed there, had a party, and then walked the next day with another friend, and then camped, and then walked the next day. I think got to Appleby, stayed in a B&B, and then the next day across the Lake District. So 4 days. Yeah. And it was good fun, but sort of I plotted the route and. I was going to say self-supported. It wasn't really self-supported because I stopped at a party. So yeah.
And that was that one of the first sort of charitable things you did?
I think so. Yeah, I was probably like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're not younger than that. But anyway,
I can't remember.
16, 17, 18. What else have you done in terms of charitable things? Obviously, we'll go on to the 100-miler in a minute.
Did the Great North Swim, which was a 5K swim.
Yeah. I couldn't think of anything worse.
That was 5K run. That was when was that? I can't remember. Probably like 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was pretty humbling, to be honest, because I don't know. I reckoned I was a really good swimmer. Sort of swam with sort of Darlington Club through sort of our youth, if you like. So always been a pretty strong swimmer. But then you're getting changed in the marquees before, and you see sort of quite big bodies, if you like.
I was wondering where you're going.
No, some big. Don't look down there. No. Put a towel around just to say modesty.
It certainly wouldn't be big on getting out of said water.
No. But some quite large fellas. That probably sounds even worse.
That definitely sounds worse. Yeah. Can we clip that up?
Brilliant at swimming. Literally, they just sort of float on top of the water, wouldn't stop. I got in, it was the first sort of swimming event I'd done. Yeah. Got in and kind of like mass start swimming. We did it at your CrossFit thing. It's quite scary.
But my swim was about 300 metres. Yeah. It was in and out before you knew it.
I know. So anyway, it was a bit of a I underestimated it, and I should have done a lot better. I think I swam a bit, lost my breath.
Is that something you'd like to do again?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a swim at some point.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You've got another challenge already, I can tell.
Yeah.
In your mind.
I've thought of one for a while, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And then various sort of little. We've done Race the Sun a couple of times.
We have,
which was a team of 4. So we did it with our father and my wife Helen, which was like a team of 4 of us with sort of a walk, a cycle, a kayak, which was brilliant.
It wasn't really a walk though, was it?
It was a run.
It was basically a run. It was uphill Vellum, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we were the fastest team. We came second. We were second mixed team overall, which was really good. And we were the fastest people on the mountain, which was
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill, which was brilliant. Yeah. And kayaking was maybe not so good. But
And you mentioned listeners turning off. I mean, if you're interested in running, listen up. But if you're not, then maybe just fast forward this bit, because I'm going to leave James to explain what got you into thinking that running 100 miles unaided, basically. Yes, you had people around you, but and also non-stop within sort of the 24-hour period. What sort of led you to think that was a good idea?
I very rarely have original ideas. Yeah. So I copied off my mate Rich. So Rich Adams, a good friend of ours, is an incredible human, and he decided he wanted to run 100 miles. Yeah. So I was doing quite a lot of running at the time. Yeah. We'd done an ultra marathon together, which was 36 miles. And we'd sort of started doing some relatively good distance. And as we were running, he was sort of saying, I want to do something bigger. So he decided he was going to do 100 miles for Team Luke Foundation. Yep. So I was sort of part of his support crew, done a lot of the training with him. And I think I'd ran in various stages. So he started in Newcastle. So we got the train up to Newcastle, started in Newcastle, did sort of a run around the quayside, and then came back via whatever route it was, and again, various people picking up. So I think
Central reservation of the A1?
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically,
yeah. Not quite, but a fair distance. So I'd done sort of, I don't know, 16, 18 miles in Newcastle with him, and then I'd done another, 30 or so down with him around here, which was a loop around sort of where I live, which you did.
I did
ran
it.
a marathon as well. But
my watch cut off about 300 metres to go, so I didn't quite tick over on Strava or whatever it was, or my phone ran out.
So it didn't happen then?
It didn't happen. If you can't post it on social media, it didn't happen.
In just you're obviously running through the night, and we'd got a good group of people to meet in Piercebridge to do a loop or 2 loops, and there was probably about 10 of us with head torches, glow sticks, rave music, and it was just that sort of camaraderie. And what Rich did is getting everybody together. It raised a hell of a lot of money. I was so sort of impressed and humbled, but also seeing him finishing at the junior park run in South Park, doing the last lap with all the kids there, and his children. It was
very special.
So emotional. So, inspired by Rich, I'd done a fair bit more running sort of going on, but I'd sort of seen that challenge, and I was like, well, I want to run a bit more. I want to do 101 miles. I didn't run 101 miles, not a chance. It was actually, I wanted to do the Teesdale Way. And again, chatting to Rich about it, he was like, well, Teesdale Way is 92 miles. You get to that distance, you have to get to 100.
You can't
because
not do 100.
It's probably one of those things that there's very few people that will do it multiple times. And since doing it, I probably won't be doing it again. I've got no desire to run that distance again.
No, I don't think you'd be allowed to.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So I sort of planned it for a while, did a hell of a lot of training, incredibly patient wife and family, because I was going out at sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock on Sunday mornings and running for sort of 4 or 5 hours. And I was sort of doing a lot of miles. But I actually found it easier to train for than marathons.
Really?
A lot easier, because you go out and sort of ultra running, you just
because the pace is so much slower.
You plod, you walk, you're tired, you're hungry, you slow down. Whereas actually training for a half marathon or a marathon, I wanted to do that for a time. So I was constantly racing. That kind of knackered me, and I didn't enjoy it. Whereas actually doing the sort of ultra stuff was really enjoyable. So the Teesdale Way in a day idea was sort of formed. And then, as you know, had an incredible support team. Had Kevin in the team, Luke Van. Had Mark along the way.
Kevan,
absolutely. But also, I think I counted up, there was something like 27 different people running different lengths. Like great. Friends that have never run before, who would just come and do a mile or 2. I loved it to the point of probably broken scar. So getting to Darlington, I loved it and I felt great. That was probably 55, 60 miles. And then sort of as night set in, I wasn't eating at all. My body wasn't allowing me to eat.
Your body clock as well would be thinking it's time to slow down. You know, what you're doing, it's got dark. You know, and subconsciously your body is trying to stop you from running. And you had a really strange reaction to that, which was the fact that you literally couldn't keep anything down. And you kept burping, which was, looking back, quite comical, if I'm honest. But at the time, it was quite awful.
Anytime I was having a sip of water or trying to drink anything, I was just like sort of retching and burping. And I just couldn't get any energy in. So I needed...
And you had to put it with my taste of music, and even worse, Dad's taste of music.
Oh, there was one point we were... Because at this point, we were pretty much walking, I would say, the last sort of, certainly 35 to 40 miles was a walk. There wasn't much running involved at all. But there was a point going through parts of Middlesbrough which were not the most scenic, when you've been sort of up on sort of Dufton Fell and you're coming down past High Force, which is absolutely stunning.
Oh, absolutely incredible.
You contrast that with...
Well, all the demolished steelworks and things, it was quite an impressive sight to see, but from your perspective, absolutely not. You know?
It was the bit along the railway with just like those dog crap everywhere. And
a lot of fly tipping and various, bits of graffiti. And as I say, it was quite an interesting, sight, because you wouldn't ever walk along there. You simply wouldn't ever. So it was definitely a once in a lifetime experience.
It was. So we got it finished anyway. And
we had to turn the opposite way when we got to the coast.
That was a bit
I bet that was
frustrating,
struggling.
because that was
Well, I got you an ice cream.
brilliant, best ice cream I've ever had in my life. Thank you for that. But yeah, walking along the sort of the seafront in Redcar, pretty much, and walking away from the finish line. It felt like a very, very long last few miles.
So coming back to the theme of this podcast, I mean, the fact that the Teesdale Way is literally on our doorstep, again, you would probably want to go towards the west of the country rather than the east of the country in terms of the Teesdale Way, apart from obviously the coastline, but the actual route itself isn't the nicest over towards Middlesbrough, Stockton. Yeah. But the other direction, absolutely stunning, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And again, it's lucky because we live in Ingleton, so I can just run from Ingleton, get onto the River Tees, and I could head up to sort of Gainford, Barnard Castle, down to Darlington.
It really is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really nice.
Absolutely. So that's the running bit over. So we'll move on to.
No, let's keep going. There's so much more.
So anyway, you completed the run and you raised quite a considerable amount for charity. So well done, you.
Thank you.
Bravo.
And thank you for your support.
Yeah, no worries. So go back to the Twickenham story. Tell me a bit about that. I mean, hugely impressive to get to the. Well, I'll let you crack on and tell it.
Yeah. So at school we had quite a good. It was a good rugby school. We were at Barnard Castle, and sort of the year above me and the year above that were very, very good. I was always sort of I would say an average rugby player, but in a team of kind of a few superstars.
Yeah.
So the year above me, we got to the final of the Daily Mail Cup, which is a national schools competition, and lost.
And it was Lee Dixon captaining that year.
Yep.
Yeah. So ex-England international for those not rugby followers.
Played for Falcons and Northampton, and
very good career.
Absolutely. So he captained. We lost by 2 points to a team called Oakham.
Yeah.
And then the next year, I somehow was asked to be captain of the first team. And we had a couple of kind of superstars in the team, and we managed to get to the final again somehow, which was I don't know, luck or hard work or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then we played a team called Colstons from down Bristol. Yeah. And it was basically men versus boys. Yeah. We'd had one of our star players wasn't able to play because he was away at the Under-18s World Cup.
So again, star player, if you're not into rugby, Matthew Tate, 36 caps for England, good friend of yours growing up, and now in charge of the Dubai Sevens. Yep. So good career as well. Yeah. So he couldn't make it.
He wasn't playing at all. We had another one of our sort of star players, George, got taken off after about 2 or 3 minutes because he had a problem with his eye.
Well,
so someone eye gouged him or something, and he was in a bad way. So sort of our 2 best players gone. Yeah. Our sort of next best player was playing out of position. Yeah. And these are a lot of excuses.
So many excuses.
They would have beaten us anyway.
But you might have at least got to try. Possibly. If those are the people were playing.
Could have been like 45-3 or something like that.
Yeah, instead of, was it 48-0 or something?
48-0. 48-0. So that was.
But the moment of running onto the pitch, I mean, that must have been pretty special.
Yeah, to 45,000 people watching.
Divide that by 10.
Yeah.
There was probably less than 500.
I think so. But it was really, really exciting. And then, played a little bit of rugby through university, and then back at Darlington again with you for a few seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Running out for Darlington first team. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tearing it up.
Absolutely. But again, that sort of retired from rugby probably about 12 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah.
So. All right, so that's the sort of outside of work covered. Obviously, there'll be plenty more to discuss, but we obviously short for time. You are an entrepreneur. You're in the property industry. How did that get started?
I wouldn't say entrepreneur.
I would.
Really?
100%.
Well, Dad and Nick had a company, and I've fallen into it, so that's not really entrepreneurial, Hen, but thank you. Really lucky. We've been in property since as long as I can remember. Yep. With sort of the family business being a estate agency. Sort of as we both did as kids during sort of Easter holidays and summer holidays, would be sat upstairs in our Duke Street office, sticking photographs on sales particulars, stapling things together, doing all the mailings, the old-fashioned way.
I was playing, what was it, Minesweep.
Oh, yeah.
Solitaire. Yeah. So you were actually doing work?
Yeah, of course I was.
Brilliant.
Of course I was.
Nothing's changed.
Still got paid the tuppence a day or whatever it was. So yeah, we've always sort of been in the sort of like property and sales environment, and obviously seen Dad and Mum worked in the business for a long time as well.
Yeah.
Seen sort of it from that side, and just really enjoyed it. People like to talk about property, so sort of when it came to sort of career choices, I originally, I wanted to be a chef to start with, so I did a lot of work in hotels and things like that, and realised pretty quickly being a chef, you work evenings and weekends, and it's hot under the collar, so I didn't really fancy it, so I thought, well, I don't know, cooking can be more of a hobby.
Yeah.
Then thought about going into the army. One of my interviews was pretty short. They're like, do you have asthma? Yes. Sorry, you can't come into the army. So that was that one. And then looked at doing a property degree. So did a 3-year course at the Royal Agricultural College at Cirencester in property agency and marketing.
And drinking.
A little bit of that, a little bit of rugby. And then the plan was always to come back home at some stage, but wanted to go and do commercial property in London. Mm-hmm. I graduated in 2007, so was looking for jobs in the biggest recession.
Perfect time to look for a job in property, right?
So they were actually making all the graduates sort of redundant from the previous year. So I'd had a couple of interviews, but nothing of any good. So I effectively came back home, worked for our sort of commercial department for 6 months, also worked in a hotel for 6 months at the same time, so 2 jobs for 6 months, saved up some money and disappeared off travelling for 6 months, which was incredible.
When did you get fired from the business?
Which time? There's been a couple of times, I think.
When did you get kicked out of the house? That was quite amusing.
That was...
Throwing him under the bus is my speciality.
That was before I'd graduated, so that would have been, I don't know, 2006, something like that. So I was back home for Easter during university, and it was...
M&M was quite prevalent at the time.
Yeah, and there was a lot of the sort of rugby friends who had been sort of bleaching their hair, if you like. So, so I remember I'd said to Mum and Dad that I was planning on doing it, and they said, well, no, because you're working in the office on Tuesday. It was the sort of Easter bank holiday, and I think I'd been out on the Sunday night, and I said to them, I'm going to do it, and they said, no.
It's going to look really good.
You'll be kicked out. I was like, nah, definitely won't kick me out. Not
it's an empty threat.
Completely. So anyway, it was the Monday morning, sort of slightly hungover. I'd just decided to bleach blonde my hair.
Literally with bleach, or did you get
no? It was like one of the dyes.
Right. Okay.
So of course I'm pretty dark haired, so it just went bright ginger. Like I looked like
a ginger person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I went downstairs and I had a towel on my head, and I said, looked at Mum. She was in the kitchen, and she looked at me. And she's like, "You haven't." And literally took my hat off, and she just, I can't say what she said on here, but there was some expletives. Dad was cutting the lawn. I looked out the window. She walked up to Dad. He was then shouting, came back in, so you don't respect us, you don't respect your job, so pack your bags and pee off back to college.
Do you have a message for Mum and Dad now?
Yeah, very harsh parenting. Completely.
Kicked you out.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So anyway, the kicking out part was quite funny. So I basically drove to the Spotted Dog at High Cliff and had a beer or a shandy or something like that. Messaged my cousin Rachel. I can't remember why I messaged her, but anyway. So she said, "Oh, why don't you come over to Beckside, which is just around the corner?" So went to Beckside, and they convinced me that
which is their house. It's not like
their house.
It's not like
they'd convinced me that the best thing in that situation to do was, and I haven't asked Rachel this, but she at that time she was a little cheeky little thing, wasn't she? So she probably knew, and she's very bright, so she probably knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah.
And I just went along with it. She convinced me to dye my hair even blonder because I looked silly it being bright ginger.
Yeah, so she wanted to make you look cool.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I went even blonder.
Yeah.
So she dyed it another twice to go like white blonde.
Yep.
Why on earth that was a good thing to do, I don't know. Anyway, I'd only been out the house for about 3 hours, and Mum called me and asked if I was coming back for supper.
Oh,
so
how kind.
Yeah, so I went back home and condition was that I paid to get it professionally dyed back to a normal
Absolutely.
colour. Yeah. So I went to Tesco's in Aycliffe and bought 2 more self-dye kits.
Brilliant.
And did it myself.
Yeah, and did it work?
Yeah, it went dark.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my natural colour.
Yeah.
But I'd effectively dyed my hair 5 times in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So my scalp was in bits. So I wouldn't recommend that.
No.
I think that's the only time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can remember. Still time now.
There is still time now.
Yeah.
And okay, so we digressed a little bit in terms of how he got into property. You did the property degree. You wanted to go into the city. You worked in the commercial side of things.
Yeah.
What happened after that? How did you transition into where you are now?
Went travelling, came back from travelling, and worked for our uncle Stuart and my grandparents farming for probably a year or so.
Yeah, you were the master of being on the phone while brushing one-handed.
Yes.
I seem to recall.
Yeah, our late grandfather caught me one time sweeping a yard
whilst on the
phone in one hand and sweeping, and he just couldn't believe I was doing that. So yeah, it was great fun. Probably one of my most enjoyable jobs. Sort of leading corn in from harvest, combining, looking after the dryer on an evening.
Yeah.
Which
good in good nice weather.
Yeah. With Stuart, I think that you had to go and check the dryer probably like every hour or something like that, and I would just fall asleep on Uncle Stuart's sofa and do it maybe every 2 or 3 hours and just pretend I'd done it, and it was fine. It was fine. So yeah, after that, then I was looking to sort of restart, going back down to London for sort of 2009, and it was the point that Nick and our father Gordon sort of said we're looking for someone to come and run our Richmond and Northallerton branches.
Yep.
Would you consider it? So I thought, well, let's give it a go, and was in charge of those 2 branches for a while.
Yeah.
Done pretty much every job in the business, which
good. We'll go back to sort of a personal challenge that you are facing at the moment. You 3.5 weeks ago?
4.5 weeks.
4.5 weeks ago, underwent surgery, quite serious surgery on your neck. Tell us all about that.
It was, I think it is a serious surgery. It didn't feel too serious. It was basically a disc replacement in my neck, so C4, C5, which was...
How could you say that's not serious?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. There's countless other things that are a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Basically, it's from an old rugby injury, which is some scarring to my spinal cord, but then also like a disc that has been sort of squashed, so my spinal cord had no space, so I was getting numbness in sort of down the left side of my body, numb feet. When I was standing up or going upstairs or getting out of a car, I was stumbling. So
quite scary symptoms.
It was, and it sort of started in, after the 100 miles, I couldn't feel my feet for probably about 3 months, and then it sort of went away.
Yeah. And
then it started again in April time. So I kind of had to go through various scans and things. There was a point where we were worried that I'd had MS. Thankfully, that wasn't that, and figured out that it was sort of my lower back and my neck that were the problem. Had the operation. I was in and out the same day, so I was operated on at 9 o'clock, back in the room by 12:30. Had a cup of tea. They wanted to keep me in overnight, and I managed to persuade them to let me go because England were playing rugby that night. So we managed to get home by like quarter past 5 to watch 2 rugby games, which was great. And then I sort of worked from home that following week.
Yeah.
But sort of took it easy. Then I tried to go back to work the week after, and had sort of mum was driving me to appointments and things. That was maybe a little bit too soon. Yeah. All in all, it's been fine, but still sort of slightly stiff, and still maybe take it a little bit easy. I'm not running or exercising yet, but
which for me probably would be the biggest challenge. I mean, yes, the lack of mobility is one thing, but mental sort of, release. Yeah. You did that for years. You played rugby, you'd be able to go to the gym, you were going out running, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And you've literally gone to, I would say 0, right?
Yeah, since April, I've probably run less than 10 miles that entire time.
Probably still more than me, though.
Yeah, possibly. But it's like, you're right, you kind of need that, like, work's pretty full on. family is amazing, but it's busy.
Yeah.
And then you kind of need something to escape it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always running. I'd done a little bit of swimming over the summer, but again, I'd sort of got to a point where actually I probably shouldn't have done, because I was getting numbness.
Yeah.
If something had changed in my neck and then I couldn't move my arm and leg on one side, it just wasn't a risk worth taking. So I'd realised sort of pretty quick on I should just take it easy. So, but yeah, seeing the surgeon again in a couple of weeks' time, and then hopefully for next year, I'll be ready to go again.
Yeah, to do another challenge of some kind.
We'll see. But you know, mentioning your intro about me being grumpy yesterday,
Yes.
I realised why.
Why?
Last night, I'd been fasting.
Oh, really?
So
you were just hangry?
I hadn't actually eaten at all. Henry and I had a full day meeting yesterday, and at one point something very, very trivial had happened. Looking back, it was tiny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like the Princess and the Pea or whatever that story was. But I was like, I need some fresh air. I'm going to throw my laptop out the...
I think it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
more
yeah.
of the analogy.
Yeah. But anyway, it's because I hadn't eaten for like 24 hours, so I'm much better today.
Why on earth would you fast? I think that's ridiculous.
I've done it before, and I just basically I'd had 3 days of indulgence, and I got to sort of Sunday night and felt rather full. So I thought I'd just
Fast for 24 hours?
Yeah, just have a bit of a break, if you like. So.
Weirdo.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, definitely recommend, if you're doing a full day of meeting with me again, please eat.
Don't do that yet.
Yeah, don't do that. I've run out of notes, but I think we just need to go back into more of the professional side of it, and talk a little bit. We've done. Well, this is our 18th episode, and we haven't actually discussed the businesses in sort of any depth at all. So, do you want to give us a bit of a brief history of ultimately, Carver's as a group?
Absolutely, yeah. Estate agency set up by our uncle Nick Carver in 1991.
Yeah.
Father Gordon joined in 94. Which was estate agency, just sales, no lettings. Nick had a separate business that did lettings called Property Management Northeast.
Yeah.
They sort of grew the business. Dad was sort of the client-facing person. Nick was maybe a little bit more of a sort of a silent partner. Wasn't doing the estate agency stuff, if you like. Grew to 4 branches by 2003. Set up with the help of Julie Wallen a commercial department doing commercial property sort of building surveying and professional work. They set up a mortgage company as well at that time, which they still work together on. I joined in 2009. You joined a couple of years later.
2010 I joined.
A year later.
Yeah.
What did you do for the first couple of years?
Well, I didn't go travelling, remember?
True.
So,
on your to-do list.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And then Nick was sort of retiring from the business in 2001, so we'd sort of took over his shares, if you like. We'd set up a lettings department, and sort of my role now is kind of heading the lettings and property management side of things. We sort of together will do the sales and the new Fine and Country venture, and then we've got a fantastic Chris Farlow and the commercial team who run the commercial side of the business. I'll pop in for a meeting an hour a week just to keep an eye on things, not keep an eye on things, but sort of see if I can help in any way, or
keep your ear to the ground, as they say.
A little bit, because there's quite a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
So I guess my role is to try to connect all the departments together, really. But property's a career. Absolutely love it. And there's been some fantastic years, some pretty challenging years. But I for one am very excited. We ain't planning on going anywhere. We've been here for 33 years.
Yep.
And I want to continue to.
Absolutely. We've got a fantastic team that we're in a really privileged position, aren't we? We're just very excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, but like a lot of the team that we've got sort of have genuinely known us since we've been children. So
absolutely.
David Tinkler, David Buckle, Shelley, Sonia.
Yeah.
Don't
miss anyone out now.
I know. I'm going to think, but a lot of them have been sort of with us for sort of
Yeah.
15 plus years.
That's right.
Which is, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Sonia's coming up to a 20th anniversary with us,
Yeah.
I think, next year.
I'm yet to find a house in Darlington she hasn't been to or sold, or I sold next door, or I sold that one.
Her memory for reciting property information from 15, 20 years ago is just incredible.
Yeah. Dad still does it as well.
Oh, of
He's
course.
like, sold that in
Yeah.
84. Okay.
Absolutely. Things were different in the property market back then.
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit more into depth of the business. I've got a cough, so you can maybe take over. What are we... what are we expecting?
Water.
Yeah, I've got something. It's all right. What are we expecting the property market to do over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 years locally?
Hard to tell. I think my gut feeling is it's going to remain really positive. We'd obviously had a huge sort of boom after COVID. It's been, I would say, stable the last year to 18 months. But sort of Darlington, Richmond, Northallerton, Aycliffe, sort of the northeast, North Yorkshire as an area. Again, we're very, very biased here, but I think it's a fantastic place to live. I think the value for money you get is huge. You look a little bit further north to cities or towns like Durham or Harrogate or York, and you look at the property prices around there, like hugely different to Darlington or Richmond and Northallerton. So I think there's an awful lot of potential for growth. The investment in the town is absolutely tremendous. The airport, the train station, the treasury.
Connectivity is obviously crucial.
Yeah, the fundamentals are really, really here for Darlington to be a big player in the northeast.
Yeah.
There's still lots of challenges, and if you look around, there's a huge challenge at the moment is the sort of the town centre and the landscape for commercial property. It's the same for a lot of places where sort of small independent businesses are struggling to survive with the competition of the online Amazons, the convenience.
Mr. Bezos.
Yeah, the convenience, and we'll all be guilty of it. It's Christmas time, clicking a button and getting something delivered the next day, rather than going into town and going to the shops.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, which our sort of commercial team have. But probably sort of the council as well. I think they need to do something with regards to, I don't know, help smartening up empty buildings.
Well, they are doing a great job in what's within their control, I guess, and within their budget as well. Pedestrianisation of a couple of streets as well. Who knows, that will hopefully help the likes of 22s, Hash, etc. And therefore hopefully be sort of a feeder into town, more of a draw to the town. Why do you go to Darlington? Well, actually, I'm going to enjoy having a cup of coffee, have a drink, and then do a bit of shopping, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Whereas you might not get that same feeling at a retail park, or you certainly won't get it online. I know it's convenient, but it's all about the sort of the feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
But the population is going to be growing. The sort of the plans for some of the big estates around the edges, the sort of strategic land, sort of between Staindrop Road and Connelscliffe Road, there's a big development plan there.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of controversy over the developments of Skirningham Woods.
Yeah.
But it sounds likely that those schemes are going to happen. So we're talking there's going to be sort of thousands of more houses built over the next sort of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see.
Wait and see. Darlington centric. I mean, we're a Darlington podcast. We're Darlington born and bred. Let's go back to probably questions we asked each other originally in the first probably 1 or 2 podcasts when, I mean, we still don't know what we're doing, but we certainly didn't have a clue what we're doing then.
Yeah.
Your go-to places at the moment if you were going out for a bite to eat?
Very rarely go out for a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Just like with,
everything going on.
Just everything going on and kids and stuff. But saying that, go to Sortie quite a bit. Going there with some of my running friends on...
Running friends,
yeah. It's our running Christmas party, although I haven't run. I think out of all of us, there's one out of 8 or 9 that is not injured at the moment. So we're sort of retired runners, if you like.
Has-beens.
But yeah, Sortie is the plan, so that's brilliant.
Charcuterie and nice drinks, nice wine.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really nice. So yeah, look
Very
forward to
good.
going to that.
I've never been to Sortie.
Well, you'll have to.
I know. I have to give it a go.
Yeah.
Although I see the owners most days because the kids or child goes to same primary school as mine. So yeah, not that I'd know them, but anyway,
well.
there's a future podcast guest right there.
I will ask him
Absolutely.
tomorrow night.
There you go.
Whenever it is.
We'll enjoy. Well, listen, I have probably asked you enough questions for today's episode. I've no doubt that the roles are going to be reversed at some point in the future. But
I'll just have to prepare in case we get a guest that doesn't turn up.
Well, I will be ready for any questions you throw at me. James Carver / Jim, known to as Jim for, as I say, from myself. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you. Thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you.
And thanks for anyone that stuck that out. I enjoyed it. See you soon.